Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry for the delay. I was trying to get my computer set up to make sure I got all the ebooks ready for tonight's session. But welcome to day two of the Healing Fast Challenge. And before we get started with tonight's session, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick spoke about last night. That way we can all just continue to carry over the information and allow it to flow into day two to get a better understanding of fasting for healing when it comes down to correcting blood pressure issues. So in day one, we spoke about the foundation of fasting, basically understanding, how fasting is used in the medical industry, how long fasting's been around, and just understanding some key points and some key words that are deeply rooted in fasting, such as ketosis, autophagy, and all those important things. We spoke about those to help you understand the role that it plays and how the mechanism of fasting works. So day one was really just about the introduction to fasting and understanding some of the science behind it. We didn't go too deep into it, but we went surface levels. That way you can understand just what's happening inside of the body, what these processes are called, and how they benefit you when it comes down to your overall health and your blood pressure. So today we're going to continue through these different mechanisms, but we're going to get directly, we're going to continue through these different mechanisms, but we're going to also get into the fasting strategies. We briefly talked about the water only fasting, the extended fast yesterday, but now we're going to start talking about the different fasting strategies, what they look like, how they work, and also understanding how it aligns with you and your health goals. And now is the time where we start taking those notes to understand if it's intermittent fasting that you want to do, is it alternate day fasting, or whatever different strategies that we're going to break down. Now is the time to figure out which one works for you or which one seems to fit the mold of what you're able to do or you're capable of doing right now. I got a couple questions last night that got sent to me, and most of them kind of revolved around, can we start fasting now? And the answer to that is, if you feel comfortable with the knowledge that you've gained thus far, then yeah, go for it. But the main thing of this challenge is, it's not that we're it's not that we're fasting together for this whole week, but it's more so about learning and understanding the aspects of fasting and learning the different tactics and strategies. That way you can be comfortable with applying it, because fasting for 7 days isn't going to necessarily fix the problem, but understanding it as a strategy as you're moving along through your journey of correcting your blood pressure issues, this is how you're going to use this as a tool to help you get to the root cause of your problem. Because again, no one thing is going to necessarily fix blood pressure issues, because there's so many different factors that play a role in this type of problem. But understanding the different tactics and strategies that are available to you, applying them to your lifestyle as you're moving forward, this is going to help you uncover some of the challenges that you're dealing with and help you get to the root cause of this problem. So if you're comfortable with the information that you have already and the ebook that you have, by all means, go for it. Take a shot at it and continue to compound the interest from fasting. And these live sessions that we're having, it's all about breaking down these ebooks, understanding the information in more detail, asking any questions that you guys may have. That way you can just make sure you got a grasp of it. Because to some people, fasting can be completely new to them. They have no idea where to begin, never done a fast. So it's really important to just ask those questions that you might have to help you get over the hump or understand more where it might be coming up short at. That way you feel more confident in applying these strategies to get the results that you need. So tonight we're gonna pick up where we left off at as far as the different mechanism or processes of fasting. We went through autophagy. We're going to start with autolysis, and then we're going to continue just getting into those strategies. So if you have your ebook with you, feel free to pull it up on a second device. If not, I'll be reading along through it. I got mine right here. And basically, if you have any questions, that's what the chat is all about. The chat is wide open. And as I continue reading through the ebook and breaking some things down, feel free to ask your questions inside of the chat. That way, that way, when I do stop and answer questions, I can go back down the line, fill in the blanks for you guys, and just continue to tie things together to help you guys get a better understanding of fasting. And if you haven't already, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the page so you get notifications whenever I do go live, and continue on your journey to correcting your blood pressure issues by making lifestyle changes. So right now, we're going to go ahead and kick off and start talking about autolysis. So autolysis is a natural self-digestion process. Oh, actually, I lied. We're in ketosis. We did autolysis yesterday. So we're in ketosis right now. And we're gonna go ahead and break down ketosis. That way we can continue to tie it together. So ketosis, a metabolic state of fat burning. The definition and functions of ketosis. Ketosis is a metabolic state where the body burns fat for energy instead of carbohydrates. When carbohydrate intake is low, such as during fasting or a ketogenic diet, the liver converts fatty acid into ketone bodies, which serves as an alternative energy source for the body. So understanding that ketosis is another state that the body shifts into once your body has broken down and utilized all the glucose inside of your bloodstream. And ketosis is just another state, another form of energy that your body is utilizing to sustain itself. So when you think about ketosis, when you think about ketosis, the next thing you want to think about is ketones, which is the energy force it's the fuel source that your body is utilizing when you're in this state. And ketones is similar to just like glucose. Your body uses glucose to create energy. Your brain naturally feeds off of glucose to create the energy for you to think and function and do all the things that it needs to do. But now, once you're burning out all this glucose during this fasting state, your body starts to create ketones, and now your body simply switches to this ketones as fuel instead of using the glucose. And we're going to get into a little bit deeper in it right now. So in the absence of sufficient carbohydrates, the body shifts from glucose metabolism to fat metabolism. The liver breaks down fatty acids into ketones, primarily beta hydroxybutyrate, acetone is primarily beta hydroxybutates, acetone acetate, and acetones, which can be used by the brains, muscles, and other tissues for energy. The connection to high blood pressure. Ketosis often leads to weight loss as the body taps into fat stores for energy. Since obesity is a risk factor for high blood pressure, weight loss through ketosis can contribute to lowering blood pressure. Now, one thing that's really important that you understand when it comes to blood pressure, that for many people, simply losing 5 or 10 pounds can significantly drop their blood pressure to some healthier ranges. Now, everybody doesn't have a weight and the blood pressure problem. That's not everyone's issue. Remember, it's a lot of different factors that can contribute to this. But simply losing 5 to 10 pounds can bring your blood pressure down to a great level. And the reason this happens is because when you're carrying 5, 10, 20, 30 extra pounds, this causes your blood vessels to lengthen. They become tighter and longer, and they stretch. And what happens, the area for which the blood needs to flow, the diameter of the radius becomes a lot smaller and tighter, and the blood pressure tends to increase. So when you end up losing weight, instead of those blood vessels being all stretched out, they start to come back together, and this allows for the blood to flow through a lot smoothly, and it's throughout your whole body. And one thing also that you have to understand is when you're holding an extra 15 or 20 pounds, that fat that you're holding onto, it's alive, and your body has to create more blood vessels in order to nourish the fat and remove the toxins coming from those areas. So now your cardiovascular system has to expand to take care of the excess weight or excess fat that you're holding on to. And this in turn puts more pressure on your heart. So now your heart has to pump harder in order to get this fat to the excess areas throughout the body, and this adds more pressure, and therefore your blood pressure continues to rise. So applying a fasting strategy can help you reduce your weight to take this pressure off your heart, eliminate the excess fat that you're holding on to, and in turn, you'll see this starts to affect your blood pressure in positive ways. So it's a number of different effects that happens during this fasting process. Number two is going to be to improve insulin sensitivity. Ketosis may enhance insulin sensitivity, helping the body use glucose more effectively. Improved insulin functions can lead to better blood sugar control, which is associated with healthier blood pressure levels. Now, one thing about having high blood sugar levels, this directly impacts your cardiovascular system. Now, we talked about the endothelium system, the endothelial cells yesterday very briefly. But when it comes down to your blood sugar levels, when your blood sugar levels are elevated, this is damaging to those endothelial cells because elevated blood sugar levels creates free radicals. And when you have elevated levels of free radicals throughout the bloodstream, they end up causing oxidative stress, which damages those blood vessels, those blood cells, and now those cells are not able to produce nitric oxide to allow for the blood vessels to dilate, and this continues to feed the high blood pressure issue. So now when you start to fast, this is going to help you improve your insulin levels, your insulin sensitivity, and bring those glucose levels, those blood sugar levels down. And this is to the effect of the metabolic changes that all start to come together to help you gain better control and to correct your blood pressure, as well as these other issues that you may be dealing with. So understanding that fasting touches on all these different areas in many different ways. By simply applying this strategy, you get to hit this area, that area, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your cholesterol, your weight, all these things by just simply applying the strategy and being consistent with it. Next is going to be the reduction in triglycerides. High levels of triglycerides, a type of fat in the body, are linked to high blood pressure. Ketosis has been shown to reduce triglyceride levels, supporting cardiovascular health. And this is another thing when it goes down to your overall health, if you're dealing with type 2 diabetes, all these things. These are all tied into this so intricately. And just this one process of fasting will allow you to get over this hump by just simply being consistent with the strategies. The next is going to be the anti-inflammatory effect. Some research suggests that ketones have anti-inflammatory properties. By reducing inflammation, ketosis may positively impact blood vessel functions and blood pressure regulation. Now, if you're dealing with blood pressure issues, there's already a low-grade inflammation that's occurring throughout the body due to the state of your health currently. So understanding that all these things continues to dial back on the stress that's happening within the body to help you regulate these numbers and these levels. The impact on sodium balance. When you get into ketosis, it leads to a reduction in insulin levels, which may cause the kidneys to excrete more sodium. It causes the kidneys to excrete more sodium. Proper sodium balance is essential for blood pressure control, and this aspect of ketosis may contribute to its effects on the blood pressure. So again, this is a whole nother pathway that continues to benefit the body as a whole. And we're going to go ahead and move on to these fasting strategies. That way we can start getting into the understanding of these different strategies and how to apply it. So we're going to start off with the intermittent fasting strategy. And I like to call the intermittent fasting strategy the beginner strategy. This is the one that anyone can do, no matter what level of health they have, no matter what other issues that they're dealing with, no matter how many different pills or how much medication that they're on. Everyone can do a form of intermittent fasting. Now, it's my belief that everyone should be doing at least 12 hours of fasting every day, no matter if you're fasting with intentions or you're not. 12 hours of fasting every day should be the basics for everyone, women, men, children, whoever, simply because it brings balance to your eating and your fasting window. You eat for 12 hours, you fast for 12 hours, and this allows for your body to cleanse itself, utilize everything that you consume to keep you in a balanced state. And we spoke about this yesterday, that most individuals were eating for 15 hours and fasting for 7-8 hours. And this is where that we're imbalanced and we're seeing a lot of our chronic issues in this state. Whereas when you fast when you fast for 15, 16 hours and you only eat for the remainder, this allows for you to cleanse and eliminate a lot of this buildup that we're dealing with. So now we're going to talk about the intermittent fasting strategy, understand how to apply it, and ask those questions that we might have to help us, continue to tie things together. So intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is a dietary approach that alternates between periods of eating and fasting. Unlike continuous fasting, intermittent fasting involves regular eating intervals, making it a more sustainable practice for many people. So the water-only fasting, we talked about how it was more of an extended fast, but the intermittent fasting is broken down into intervals. Now we're going to explain this a little bit more, how it works. There are various methods of intermittent fasting, such as the 16-8 method, which is 16 hours of fasting followed by an 8-hour eating window, or the 5-2 method, eating normally for 5 days and reducing your calorie intake or not eating anything for 2 consecutive days. The goal is to allow the body to enter into a fasting state periodically, triggering specific metabolic responses. The connection to high blood pressure. This goes right back into the weight loss and the weight management, the improved insulin sensitivity, the reduction in inflammation, the impact on the cholesterol, cellular repair and detoxification, as well as the effects that it has with the hormones. Now, we're gonna break down these intermittent fasting strategies. That way you can get a complete picture of how it works. So, intermittent fasting. Ideally you want to start your intermittent fasting at nighttime. Reason being, because the majority of your fast should take place while you're sleeping. That's one of the best things about fasting. Once you stop eating at night, at a certain time at night, the majority of that fast typically takes place throughout the time period where you're sleeping, when you wake up in the morning, and then you end up breaking your fast at a specific time. Now, ideally, you should stop eating at least by 8 o'clock. You stop eating at 8 o'clock, this pretty much shuts down your eating window, and now this allows for your body to break down and utilize everything that you consumed for the next 16 hours. For the next 16 hours. Now, as you're going through this process, basically you're going to be sleeping during this time period. And so from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way to the next morning, you're going to be in a fasting state. You're not going to eat anything. You're not going to consume anything else outside of maybe some water if you decide to have anything to drink. Water only is going to be one of the best options, but there are some other things that you can consume while you're fasting. But water only is going to be the best option. Typically, when I'm fasting, I'm always doing water only. Reason being I say water only is the best option is because you have to be very mindful about anything else that you may consume while fasting. Think of it this way. Some people like to drink black coffee while they're fasting. Some people consume herbal teas while they're fasting. Some people consume 0-calorie drinks and other things that are 0 calories while they're fasting as well. Now, understanding that these things might not necessarily break your fast, but you have to understand how it aligns with the goals that you're trying to accomplish. We're going to begin with coffee. Some people like do the black coffee while they're fasting. We have to understand how coffee impacts our health as a whole, particularly with our blood pressure. Now, black coffee, and the issue with it is going to be the caffeine that's there, because caffeine is what you call a vasoconstrictor, and it has a direct impact on your blood pressure. Now, coffee doesn't cause high blood pressure, but it can cause you to have an elevated blood pressure for no particular reason, because while that caffeine is floating around in your system, it's constricting your blood vessels, causing your heart to beat harder and causing your blood pressure to be elevated. So you don't want to consume coffee while you're dealing with blood pressure issues, because you want to eliminate anything that could be contributing to the problem. So fasting and black coffee, you want to scratch that off the list, because that's not something that's going to be in alignment with what you're trying to do. Number 2, herbal teas. Herbal teas can be beneficial while you're fasting. That's great. But we have to be mindful of the kind that we're consuming. You may get some herbal teas that have dehydrated fruits and things inside of it. And that sugar that's going to be inside there is going to be enough to break your fast. And instead of getting the benefits of ketosis and autophagy, you're just going to be on a calorie restricted diet, and you're going to see some benefits, but you're not going to get that healing and rejuvenation effect that you're actually looking for. So if you're going to consume herbal teas while you're fasting, just be mindful of the type that you're consuming. You want to make sure that it has no calories or no added sugars or any types of sugars inside of it, and that would be the best option for you to actually choose. And then as far as the other 0-calorie drinks, it's easier just to drink water and stay away from it. It's only a certain window that you're in. Just drink some water, stay hydrated regularly, and that's going to be the best option. That way you don't have to look and search and try to figure out, oh, is this okay or that's okay? Just have a little discipline and consume water only during this window, and it takes the thought process out of it. Now, the next conversation goes into what type of water that you want to consume while fasting. Now, there's a whole field of information about the types of water that you want to consume while fasting, and I'm going to give you a simple breakdown of why I choose to consume distilled water while fasting. Now, when you're in a fasting state, your body is going to these different modes, such as ketosis, autophagy, all these different things, these different mechanisms that's breaking down fat and breaking down, toxins, and then this whole process of elimination is happening. So the reason I choose to use distilled water while fasting is because distilled water is pure water. There's no vitamins, no minerals, there's nothing inside of it. Whereas when you got spring water or alkaline water, there's other vitamins and minerals and other nutrients and things that are added to it. So in a state of fasting, from all my research of applying fasting as a strategy, reading, writing, learning about it, watching the different studies, distilled water has nothing in it, and it allows the body to function at its highest levels to do what it needs to do without any assist. And what I mean by that is that when you consume distilled water, there's no nutrients in it to nourish the body. But when you consume spring water, you have the natural minerals from the spring that are coming in and giving the body the tools that it needs to function. So when you consume distilled water, your body has to actively go and work to get the nutrients that it needs from your built up fat storages. So instead of having those minerals coming in through the water, it has to go and break down the fat cells and take out the vitamins and the minerals, release all the toxins to utilize the nutrients that are there. And this gives you a bit of an advantage when it comes down to cleansing and elimination. And that's my method behind distilled water. Now, there's nothing wrong with consuming alkaline water, spring water, or whatever type of water that you have, because again, it's going to help you in the fasting state that you're in. But just to maximize your results, distilled water seems to be the best method, the most logical method that's going to help you maximize your potential through this process. So again, whatever water that you have, it's going to work out just fine for you. But distilled water is going to be great. Now, when it comes down to adding fruits or supplements or other things inside of water, it gets a little tricky again, because when you're adding stuff to it, you have to know what you're putting in. Let's say if you just decide to put some lemons or limes in it, it may work out, but you don't want to squeeze fruits in it and turn it into lemon water, lime water, because now you're adding the natural sugars there, and that may have the potential to actually break your fast. So it's a thin line that you're on, and keeping it simple with water is always going to be the best bet. That way you don't have to even second guess if this was right or if this was wrong, or if you're in a fasting state or if you're not. So distilled water is my preferred method. Spring water, alkaline water, whatever water, they all work just as well. But again, it's all about maximizing what you're doing to get the best type of impact. So back into intermittent fasting. So your fasting window is going to be 16. It's going to be a 16-8. That's what it's all broken down for. 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating. So let's say you start fasting at 8 p.m., you break your fast at 12 noon. And from 12 noon all the way to 8 p.m., that's going to be your eating window. This is where you can consume everything, all the calories that you need to consume to sustain you for the day. Now, this doesn't mean that you can just go and pig out and eat whatever you decide to eat, because you still want to be health focused when it comes down to your dietary choices. So you want to consume health promoting food that's going to help you build your body up. We spoke about eating the building foods when it comes down to providing your body with the things that it needs: the potassium, the magnesium, the calcium, the sodium, the zinc, all those things that are essential for regulating the blood pressure. So having eating and consuming health promoting choices during your eating window is going to be key. Making sure that you're eating enough fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, leafy greens, all those things that are going to give you the nutrients to continue to build your body up to move in the right direction. Because if you're fasting for 16 hours and then when you break your fast, you decide to have a pizza or whatever's there, you're basically throwing away everything that you were trying to accomplish, because your body's doing this great job of cleansing and breaking down and eliminating what you're holding, all the waste that you're holding on to. And if you're just going to retoxify your body all over again, it's like, what are you really fasting for, you know? So consuming a health promoting diet during your eating window is going to be ideal. So from 12 to 8, you want to think about all those building foods. And we spoke about quite a few of them in I think one of our last challenges before, but leafy greens are going to be key. You should always have a nice big salad every day. Those big salads with the leafy greens that we spoke about, such as the Swiss chard, the beet greens, the kale, the arugula, the spinach. Those are all going to be filled with the potassium, the magnesium, the antioxidants, all those building blocks that's going to help your body rebuild itself. Because again, you're in a fasting state, breaking down and eliminating all the toxins and the buildup and clearing out these obstructions that you have. Now you got to be able to strengthen those new cells up to allow for your body to rebuild and rejuvenate itself and replace those old damaged cells with healthier, stronger cells that are going to be able to do the job that they need to do to help you regulate your blood pressure. So making the right dietary choices are going to be key as you move forward. So that 16 hours, you're in that fasting state. That 8 hours, you're going to be that's going to be your eating window where you're going to consume the foods that you normally consume. Now, one of the biggest questions that I always get about this 16-8 is that, okay, I have to take my medicine first thing in the morning. And that rule is there because most people typically eat first thing in the morning. Doctors want you to, if you're taking certain medications, you have to eat in order to consume it. So instead of taking your meds at 9, 10 o'clock, push the window back. 12 o'clock, boom, take it then. Simple as that. No big deal behind that window. That slight shift, it's not gonna throw your whole cycle off when it comes down to your medication or your overall health of what you're trying to do. Simply pushing it back, taking it then, that's going to continue to allow you to move forward, because at the end of the day, you're still applying a health promoting tactic that's going to help you continue to move the needle in the right direction when it comes down to your blood pressure, because ultimately your goal is to get off the pharmaceutical medications and restore your health and not need to take anything to help with your blood pressure. So simply pushing the meter back, starting at 12, and then once you break your fast and consume your medication in, that cycle is going to work out just fine for you without any type of complications. And when it comes down to the 16-8 fasting strategy, this is ideal for anybody that's a beginner faster, that's just not too sure about what to expect during this fast. Now, the only person that should be mindful about the 16-8 fast is any individual that's dealing with blood sugar issues. You're dealing with type 2 diabetes, you got some sensitivity, you're dealing with some sensitive blood sugar issues. This is where you want to test your ability to fast. And when I say test, you want to just bring those hours down. Reason being, you're not too sure how your body's going to respond to certain things. because hypoglycemia is a real thing. And you don't want to be caught in the middle of the episode like that. So instead of going with the 16-hour fast, you want to start with that 12-hour fast that we spoke about. So you stop eating at 8 o'clock and don't eat again until 8 o'clock in that morning. That's going to give you 12 hours. And for about 6 to 8 of those hours, you should be sleeping. And this is going to allow you to see and feel your body out to see what you can handle, because everyone is going to be different. Some people with diabetes can do 12 hours, some can do 16, some can do 24. It all varies for the individual, but you have to understand what you can handle, where you're at, how strong your body is, and see how it responds to everything that you're doing. Start off with the 12-hour fast. So that 12-hour fast, 8 to 8, that's going to give you 12 hours to see how you feel. You do the 12-hour fast and your body feels great, fine. Bump it up a little bit. Do a 13, do a 14, and start to test and see how you feel. Because ultimately what's going to happen is when you start with a 12 and then you start to bump up a little bit, your body's going to respond and it's going to build and get better and get used to you applying this type of fast to it. Because again, these same type of healing mechanisms that are occurring, the autophagy, the autolysis, all those things, that's all starting to take place and allow for your body to build itself back up and your cells become nice and strong to handle what you're doing. And this is the process that you want to be able to understand. How are you feeling during this fast? If you did a 12-hour fast and you feel like you're going to pass out, then you know this is where your cap is. But now, in a couple days, try to boost it up again and see where you go. Maybe you make it to 14 hours, or maybe you need to do a couple more 12-hour days. And I guarantee you, you're going to start to see the difference and feel the difference as you're applying these different strategies. And now you just have to continue to build on it, because again, fasting is just one of the strategies. Now, as you continue to do the other things, all the other health promoting strategies, like, making sure you're improving your nutrition and removing the things that you shouldn't be eating, creating more movement for yourself and getting better sleep, all these things start to compound together. And now you start to see your lifestyle change and start to have an effect on your overall health. And this is where your numbers are going to start to make some great improvement. So it's a few different aspects there, but really it's all about understanding where you're at, where you're going, and how you're trying to apply it. So I'm gonna take any questions right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat, and then I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the alternate day fasting. Ms. Jennifer says she understands the difference between the water. Now, yeah, it's really simple stuff. Like again, you're gonna always hear people saying know this and know that. It's different. Again, it's different schools of study that believe certain things, but when it all comes down to it, everyone has their method that works for them. But understanding which one you want to apply and what works for you is going to be where you just fall in the balance of it. Does fasting put the body in starvation mode, meaning it holds onto calories for later? No, not at all. When you're fasting, again, we spoke about this yesterday, fasting and starvation are two different methods. Your body doesn't hold on to calories. Your body starts to break down your fat storages where your nutrients are being held at. And because everyone has a nutritional storage. Me being 180 pounds, I probably got 30, 40 days worth of nutritional storages within myself. And when I start fasting, my body's gonna start to utilize that. All the excess fat that you have on your arms, on your neck, on that waistline, and your legs, those are all nutritional storages, and your body's holding on to that. And now in that fasting state, your body goes to chipping away and releasing all those nutrients, breaking down that fat, and getting rid of the toxins that are held inside of there as well. So your body's not starving at all, because the nutritional process doesn't stop. Although you're not consuming any food or the building blocks, you're holding on to all your nutritional storages. So it's like, okay, the refrigerator's empty, but okay, nothing's there. Now I could just go into the pantry and start using what's inside of the pantry to nourish myself. So you're just switching lanes, switching gears, and allowing for your body to go into the things that it's holding on to, and just continue to move from there. What salad dressing can you use? I have a strict rule of no store-bought salad dressings. unless they contain no salt, no oil, no sugar. And it's probably like 2 brands I've ever seen that have no salt, no oils, no sugars. So when it comes down to salad dressings, I'm a big fan of prepare your own salad dressings, because most salad dressings are highly processed with salt, oils, and sugars that are really damaging when it comes down to your goal of trying to correct your blood pressure. The salt, again, the sodium levels inside of it has a direct impact on your blood volume. The oils has an impact on your endothelial cells, and plus it's high in calories. The sugars causes a lot of oxidative stress in the body. So, those free radicals, all those things contribute in many different ways to, causing blood pressure issues and overall health issues. So eliminate those processed dressings. Make your own salad dressings. Is very easy to do, and that's going to be the best step to moving forward. How many days do you fast? Well, my longest fast was 29 days. I did a 29-day fast. I don't remember how many years ago it was, but I did it. My longest fast was a 29-day fast. Currently, I'm not necessarily in the fasting state now, but I make sure that I do at least 12 hours between everything that I'm doing. And usually when I do fast, I always like to bang it out all at the same time. Think of it this way. When my birthday comes around in the summertime, I like to fast for however many years old I am. For instance, I did a 33 or 34, and I missed out on my 35th by like 4 days because some other things happened. But the main thing is applying fasting in a strategy that works best for you. Me personally, I'm not a biggest fan of intermittent fasting. Reason being, I don't like to look at the clock. Like, I don't want to look like waiting for 12 o'clock. Once 12 come, I can eat. It's just something about looking at the clock for me. I rather do an extended fast where I'm fasting 3 days, 4 days, 7 days straight, or however long, and just bang it all out, allow my body to cleanse itself and reset during that whole mode. So it's really just about finding the area that you're comfortable with and building on it and just being consistent with it. And there's also a thing of overdoing it. You can put yourself in the fasting state too much, which can be problematic, especially if you're doing those longer fasts. The shorter fasts are okay, but the longer fast, it can be problematic for some individuals because fasting is a stressful state for the body. So understanding that, just making sure that you find out what's comfortable for you and what you're comfortable with doing, that's going to be one of the biggest things when it comes down to fasting. So now we're going to get into the next type of fast, which is going to be the alternate day fasting. And this is what I like to call the next level. It's a level up from the intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is a more of a beginner stage. This is for the one that's not too sure what they can handle. You start with the intermittent fasting, and the next one's going to be alternate day fasting. And after alternate day fasting, we still have the fasting mimicking diet that we're going to break down again as we continue through this this breakdown. That way you can understand all these different strategies that you can have, because again, there's no one fasting strategy that works for everyone. But understanding the ones that fits and works best for you is going to be how you identify what's going to work best for you on your journey. So now, alternate day fasting. And it's exactly what it sounds like, alternate day, alternating days. Alternate day fasting is a dietary pattern that alternates between fasting days and regular eating days. On fasting days, individuals either abstain from food entirely or consume a very reduced number of calories, typically around 25% of their usual intake. How does it work? Alternate day fasting usually follows a pattern of 1 day of fasting followed by 1 day of regular eating, although there are different variations that people use. The fasting period allows the body to enter a state where specific metabolic and cellular processes are activated. That's the ketosis, autophagy, autolysis that we all spoke about. Now, alternate day fasting, it just increases the window that you're fasting. Now, understand this. When it comes down to autophagy typically kicks off for most individuals between that 16-hour and that 18-hour window. Sometimes it varies, but between 16 and 18, this is where the body starts to get things going with autophagy and that deep cellular cleansing and healing aspect. So when you're in the intermittent fasting strategy, you're just touching that every day right before you start to break your fast. And that's the way when you start to repeat this cycle, you continue to get this healing benefit. Now with alternate day fasting, this allows for you to go deep into the autophagy cycle, the ketosis cycle, the whole autolysis aspect. You go deeper into that. So instead of having that 16-hour fast, it's going to be more like a 36-hour fast. That's going to allow for you to get all that and some, and it's going to be a bigger, better response from your body when it comes down to what you're doing, because it's you're in a healing process a whole lot longer. Your body's in autophagy a lot longer, so a lot more things can take place. A lot more of those damaged cells can be broken down and recycled and reconstructed, and that's going to be where a lot more healing takes place. So during that alternate day fasting, those 36 hours or so, you're in that healing state, and you're just completely fasting. The same thing, water only during this process, and you want to continue through this 36 hours. You're going to start that night at 8 p.m. fasting, and you're going to go all the way over to the next morning to 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whichever one you decide, and that's when you're going to break your fast. Now the same thing on that alternate day fast, on that day that you decide to break your fast, same strategies occur. You want to consume a health promoting diet. A health promoting diet, again, making sure you're eating healthy foods, building foods that's going to allow for you to continue to build your body up. Now, quick story. My last time alternate day fasting was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, alternate day fasting. Yeah, because my daughter wasn't born yet. She was conceived during that time period. Yeah, so about 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, around November, December time, I decided to do alternate day fasting. So alternate day fasting, I believe I did about 15 to 17 days of alternate day fasting. Eat one day, fast the next day. Eat one day, fast the next day. And during that time period, I lost about 17 pounds. And it was probably a more gentle fast that I've ever done. Reason being, the days that I was eating, I was consuming enough food. I was consuming a lot of salads, a lot of fresh greens, whole grains, a lot of health promoting foods. And the next day I'll be in fasting mode. And what will happen is, that day that I was fasting, everything that I ate the day before was kind of like just sustaining me throughout that time period. And again, during that time period, I was like, okay, I'm not necessarily even hungry. I'm not even feeling it. And then typically what will happen is around 7 to 8 o'clock, when you would typically probably be eating again, I would start to feel a little bit of hunger. And then it would be time to go to bed. By then, before you know it, I wake up, I break my fast, and I'm right back to eating, and I'm just alternating between the days. So I found a lot of comfort doing alternate day fasting. And most importantly, I started to get some of the biggest results during my journey during this time as well. Reason being, when I started the alternate day fasting, I also started the no salt, no oil, no sugar routine. Eliminated salt from my diet completely, eliminated all oils from my diet, eliminated the sugars from my diet as well, all processed sugars. Doing that really allowed me to level up in a big way when it came down to my physical appearance. I'm not sure if everyone saw that picture that I have. It's somewhere around here. I'll probably grab it in a second. But yeah, matter of fact, let me grab it. So, so doing alternate day fasting, I really was able to level up in a few different ways, especially when it came down to my appearance, the weight that I was holding, and things like that. So in this picture here, I'm 248 pounds in this picture. 248 pounds, blood pressure of 145 over 93. It's been 161 over 106 at its highest. All those different complications right here. Blood sugar levels all through the roof. Got a ton of things going on. So when I started my journey, started fasting, started applying these different strategies, I found myself to get down to about 206. Around 206, I really plateaued with everything else that I was doing. And I had to figure out, okay, what's next? I'm at 206. I'm feeling good. I'm still dealing with blood pressure issues. I still got some other sensitivities. But now it's like, okay, I have to figure out what's next. I started learning about alternate day fasting, and I was like, okay, this is a level up from my regular fasting that I've been doing. Let me try the alternate day fasting. So at 206 and alternate day fasting, again, I lost like 17 pounds during that time frame. I started to see everything start to shred up and just evaporate off of me from my neck, my shoulders, my chest. Everything was starting to trim and slim down in ways that I hadn't seen by applying this type of fasting strategy. So understanding that, you're gonna go through cycles where, let's say you start the intermittent fasting and you're doing it and, you might plateau somewhere. Next up is just trying to continue to move forward and level up to the next strategy to see how it continues to carry you. Because again, it's a journey, it's a process. It's not just boom, it's all done and this all you need to do. There's different strategies, and that's why we have these type of challenges, so you can understand what's there. Because again, you might be like, okay, let me start with intermittent and it stops working for you. That doesn't mean that it's over. Move to the next strategy and move to the next one. Because one thing about health is, again, it's a journey, it's a lifestyle. And applying a fasting strategy to your lifestyle, it's not just going to help you improve your blood pressure, it's going to help you improve your overall health. And this helps when it comes down to longevity and your lifespan. And again, it's not all about just living this long life and living forever. It's more so about being able to continue to do the things that you love to do for a longer period of time. Because, when you allow your body to wear out at 40, 50, 60 years old, you can't do what you used to like to do. Maybe you like to run and play tennis or do this or do that. If you let your body wear down, you can't do that as you get 60, 70, 80 years old. But taking care of your body with lifestyle changes allows for you to open that window up and continue to live your life in a health promoting way a lot longer. And that's what lifestyle changes are all about. Just not about blood pressure. It's about creating that longevity to do what you love to do, be with the people that you love a lot longer, and enjoy that aspect of everything that you're doing. And for myself, alternate day fasting, it really just got me over that 206 hump. And once I got over that hump, it started just going down. Because one thing about fasting as well is that you don't just stop. Like once you stop fasting, the results don't just necessarily stop there, because the effects of fasting, they continue to push you in the right direction, especially if you're living a health promoting lifestyle. You're eating properly and you're exercising still. Those results and that autophagy and all those healing aspects continue to start rolling. Because again, when I was 206, I hadn't been in the gym yet. I wasn't working out and wasn't exercising and things like that. Even though I had just lost like 30 something, 40 something pounds, I hadn't gotten in the gym yet. But once I started feeling better and looking better, I was now motivated. Like, let me go get on the treadmill and see how this works or how this goes. And now I had the energy. My body's feeling a lot better while I'm doing it. Because it's one thing to get on the treadmill at 248 pounds, and it's another thing to get on the treadmill at 200 pounds. You feel totally different, and now you're more motivated to continue with the process that you're on. And alternate day fasting really allowed me to get over that hump and understand my body a lot better and get the results I needed to just keep me motivated, keep me moving forward. So alternate day fasting, I think I hit all the aspects as far as the hours, how it works. Same thing happens when it comes down to the water that you're consuming, how you break your fast. All those things are all the same. And I feel like I'm missing something, but I'm probably not. But make sure when you're breaking your fast on that alternate day, make sure that you're eating a health promoting diet to continue to sustain your results and push your body in the right way. You don't want to clean your body out and then start retoxifying it all over again by eating the wrong foods. So those are the main things to take away from that. The connection between high blood pressure is pretty much the same thing. The weight loss, the improved lipid profile, such as your cholesterol, your HDL, your LDL, your enhanced insulin sensitivity, the reduction in inflammation, the cellular repair, the modulation of your hormones, the impact that it has on the heart rate. All those things are all the same. The main thing is when you're in that alternate day fasting state, you just get a whole lot more of it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of 16 hours, you're getting 36 hours of it. And again, for everyone that's, that may be new to this, it's all about building yourself up to it. Some of us can dive right into it. Some of us may need to build up to it. But making sure you understand where you fit in is going to be very, very important when it comes down to applying these different strategies. So, we might be motivated to dive right into one of those higher levels, but just make sure it's not a race. It's all about comfort and gradual progression. Figure out where you're at, build on it, and continue to step on this ladder to continue moving forward. Because I can guarantee you, as you're consistent with intermittent fasting, you're going to ultimately get those same type of alternate day fasting results and be able to move on to the next process and the next process, so forth, so on. So those are the main things. Now, what time is it actually? Okay, it's 8:25. So our session ends at 8:30. If we have any questions, feel free to drop any questions inside of the chat, and that way I can round us off with questions. And that leaves us with water only fasting, how to put it all together, as well as the fasting mimicking diet, which is a new thing that I added in for this different session. So putting it all together, fasting mimicking diet, water only extended fast, and tying it all in to how to make this work for you with blood pressure medications and all the other different things that you have. Those are going to round off our next couple days of this process. So I'll go ahead and take any questions that we have here, and then we're going to keep moving through. I've heard that when you don't eat a lot, your body holds on to what you eat. Not at all. Your body uses everything that it has whenever it's there. Your body's a consistent machine that is going to utilize and break down everything that you give it. And your body prepares for the worst as well. That's why we end up holding on to excess fat storages, because when you give it to your body and your body can't actually utilize it and turn it to energy right then and there, it's not going to waste it. It's like, okay, I can't do nothing with this. Well, let me put it on her hips or put it on his waist and put it up on his chest or wherever they're going to put it. Your body holds on to it because it's like, okay, I could use it later. But the thing is, most people don't go and start fasting and cleansing to actually utilize those nutritional storages. So we got to walk around with this extra 15, 20 pounds because we don't understand the concept of how our bodies work. We have to think of it like this. Back in the ages when talk about caveman days and all those things, food was scarce. You can't just walk in the kitchen and open the refrigerator back in those times and get something to eat. They had to hunt and survive and figure things out. So during that process, your body evolved into storing nutrients. So you eat all you can at that particular moment because you may not eat for the next 3-4 days. So your body will hold on to all the nutrients, all the calories that it can in preparation of not being able to eat for the next couple of days. So now when we leapfrog into the agriculture age and the industrial revolution age, where where agriculture food is just right there, and the industrial revolution where processed foods are being prepared, food is in abundance, but our bodies are still designed to hold on to it. So now when food is in abundance and you're just consuming, your body's like, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I'm holding it, give it to me. And before you know it, year passed, you gained 15 pounds. And next year passed, you gained another 20 pounds. Next year, another 30 pounds or whatever. So we have to understand that your body is made to store and hold on to calories. And, if you don't understand how fasting works, you're not going to necessarily be able to eliminate it and bring balance back to your body, because your body's going to be in this storage mode as long as you keep eating. But fasting allows for you to eliminate this process, and making the other necessary lifestyle changes is going to help keep you in alignment to prevent this process from actually happening. So, there's a few other intangibles in there, but it's really just all about understanding your body and activating these different mechanisms that we have within ourselves, because your body evolved from just a little sperm and a little egg and turned you into you. You break your finger, your body, you cut yourself, your body heals itself naturally. So you have these built-in healing mechanisms